University is a very complex and regulated environment. So sometimes for founders building a product for higher education, it can be quite difficult to, one, get to the right stakeholder, but two, know how to actually get into a university to open up discussions around their product. Given your position looking at integrating ed tech solutions into universities, would love to know what the best frameworks you've seen for startups to navigate their way into the university.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a very perennial question. I think a lot of universities have a main entrance as such, but they don't have a front door, and it's quite difficult. There's been a lot of questions about how can businesses and those people who want to partner and engage with universities, what's the best way in? And as I've said, often things can be quite distributed across the university. I hate to say it, but I don't think there's a single answer. I think one part of the answer is about building up and cultivating relationships. So if, for example, you do have connections and network and are networked into particular parts of a university, I think there's something about how you ask questions about the wider community of people that you need to be engaging with. I think often people can come into a university and they'll have connections with one part of it. It might be within a faculty or a particular department, or even a particular area within the overall sort of organisation and administration of the university, but often won't have a big understanding of how that sort of relates to the wider set of relationships that need to be developed to actually embed things. So I think asking questions of those contacts that you do have about, well, what does this mean for other parts of the university? And how are you sort of engaging and talking to other parts of the university? Because otherwise things can become quite siloed. Another thing that when I was reflecting on this, I think certainly in England, there's quite a vibrant town square. And by that, I mean, there's lots of people who network quite regularly. They meet quite regularly through conferences. There's work that Emerge does to sort of bring people together. There's work that Universities UK does. You've got bodies like Wonki, and you've got the Higher Education Policy Institute, lots of conferences. And I think there is something about founders sort of being visible and present in some of those networks as well, and looking at those for opportunities to connect with people, because I think often the people who are involved in some of those networks and discussions are probably the people that you need to be linking in with and talking to as well. So I think it is a tough one. Like I said, there's not a front door you can knock on and say, who do I talk to? I think the COO type roles which are emerging are quite important, and the people within their team. So I think that's probably something to be thinking about as well, is how to engage with that sort of community.